Mhm. So I'm going to leave a review on last time, the last class. So mainly we're talking about that wrong livelihood and right livelihoods. And then what part of the right livelihoods is um, the what called the practicing the riches of the noble ones, that which is 7 parts. And that 7, which is number 1, is last time we counted the faith, morality, and conscience, and then shame, and then so learning, and then insight. Those are the 7 riches of uh, noble ones. So the so as we follow the commentary, the first talks about that shouldn't have a strong attach on materialistic, material things. So the part of talking that how do we survive with the right livelihood, right? And then we finish up to, yeah, that's we finish, I think. And those are we finish. So today we're going to talk from here. Materials things are like poisonous flower. Young children accept them joyfully, and once befriended, they fall into their mouth and rob them of their lives. So it's talking about the fault of like having attached on a materialistic, right? Material things. And material means generally we having attached on 5 things, right? The object of the 5 sense. So the we have attached on a form, and then sound, and then smell, taste, and then touchable things. Those are the which we having attachment. And as well as you are control to having attachment on those 5 things, then you will be have more peaceful. Excuse me. So then having less suffering, right? So the poisoning flowers here, the is, let's say minerals, the poisoning flowers. What gives you example here? And also similarly, there are many texts mentioning that who attach the form and then finally give up their life, same way who attach to the sound as well as smell, and so on and so on. So for example, the giving butterfly, the butterfly have attached the flame, right? And then they try to touch the flame, and finally flame takes their life. So this is example how the attached to form and takes their life. And then I don't know, I see this in India, many there they have some kind of flute, and then snacks comes to the, you see that? Right? And then finally they catch the snack and then use it for their like a making money, right? So similarly also that sometime we give example that I think it's deers are very much attached on beautiful sound. And then the hunters, they use the play that beautiful sound, And then deers very much having pleasure after they hear the beautiful sounds, and deep concentration with that pleasure sound, because they attach on it, and then hunter can kill them easily. This is the how, sound. And then see, in our daily life, we always like to have hear to the pleasure things, right? Complementary. We never wants to hear that criticize and blaming to ourselves. So, because having attached to complementary and praise is same as taking your life or taking your happiness, because it's not always happening, right? Who always not compliment to you, or and not everyone is compliment to you or praise to you, right? And then also sometime we might not deserve to have complimentary, right? And then why, how come we expect it that way? So therefore, when people praises, you don't have to be so feel good. And then when people praise to you, the main you have to think, really, I deserve that, how they complimenting to me, right? And if you are not really that good, then why you are enjoy and happy? You shouldn't accept it 100%. It's the sound is pleasure, but sometimes it's diluted us. Even we are not that much qualified to having those praise and compliment, but when we hear it, so enjoying it, and completely forget who am I. And then you are flying, then so never know where you're going to fall, right? So therefore, when people, that's special when people compliment to you, it's very careful to think, or accepting or not accepting at that moment based on your quality that we knows, right? So therefore, not too much attached on the sound. And then same as like a butterfly, we too much attached on the form. So always looking nice, beautiful things. Um, therefore, we travel a lot to seeing beautiful views and places. And then even you are in a house, you are in a home in daily life, always seeking kind of uh, the cushions are smooth and soft, right? And so on, so on. And then once you see like the beautiful person, no matter who you knows or don't know, you have attached, and you see some kind of uglier, which we describe ugly, and then you annoying to you. No matter who this person is, it's annoying to you, right? That's the which we having attached on the form makes different us to when you see the ugly have it's annoyed to you, and then when it's beautiful, you attach, wants to see it again and again, right? That's kind of things. And then also watching TV a lot and so on and so on. Those are having attached on a form, which just takes you all this precious time, or it brings you more suffering, right? And it could be takes your life. The we see the lot of the people, the suicide when they separate from their the loved ones. Uh, these are the actually attachments, right? Attachment on same as like poison flower. Those poems are poison flower, right? Like a poison flowers, which is always brings you more suffering and disturb to have more peace, and it brings you more distractions. Those are any form of this actually take it as a poison, which is really not benefiting us. It's more disturbing us and distraction out, or bring more suffering, right? So that's how we are. we attach on a form, takes a lot of it's like having a lot of suffering, and as well as we attach on the sound, having a lot of suffering as well. And then we go back to the like a smell, right? Um, what call that? That's naturally we do have it. So we are um, very much not like to the bad smell, and therefore we use the perfume and so on, right? So try to get nice smell. Those are actually the part of the what you're seeking, which is not happening. Therefore, that way you cause you have suffering. So therefore, not attached. Whatever comes, comes, right? So so and then the test, yeah. So and then we very much attach on delicious food and always seeking that way, right? Expecting that way. And when it's not happening, turn into the suffering. Um, and even when it's happening, I can say develop your suffering, right? Because once you have delicious food, it's too much enjoying, very much happy, and then same time your attachment increases. That happier and enjoys makes attachment increases. That how much attachment increases, that much brings you suffering. Therefore, again, having so much enjoy is also part of the cause of suffering. Um, so therefore, uh, take limited to have happy, and also take limited to take too much suffering and disappointment. So, and then all this same like a five sense of object, if you can little bit analyze by yourself how we are to attach on the five sense of object, and it's cause us a lot of suffering. How that you can examining one by one. First, you can take time for examining on the form, which I give you we give a few example, and use that, and then additional you can think by yourself and see how the forms attaching on the forms are the cause of suffering, right? So how turn into those are the poison. It's beautiful, but it's poison, right? Therefore, say like the poisonous flowers, beautiful but poisonous, right? And then sometimes the bees like the flowers, they eat the flower, right? And then some flowers isn't that collapse to kill the bee in a they attach on it, and then they come to there and they eat, then collapse, and actually they comes for having pleasure or like having enjoy, but that takes their life. So this is how we are in our daily life. It's a lot of things that we are trying to get enjoy and happy from things material, but those also cause us to bring more suffering. So therefore, we should careful. And what the final point saying is, once you have it, beautiful, but not too much attach on it. Once you do not have it, not too much disappointed it, because it is how come it is happening what should happening in our daily life. So um, so therefore not follow the attachment, not follow the desire. So it's like the desire and attachment is like the continued, they just limitless, once more, never stop. So and then that's the way how it costs, right? Okay, there's a line here: as the young children accept the joyfully, and once befriended, they fall into the mouth and rob them of their life. It's clear? Okay. So then next, saying material things are like the salty water of sea. The more you happily drink, the more your trust increases. Really? Salty water. You happily drink the salty water? Yeah, salt makes you crave. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's the exactly giving example. Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're talking about if you're lost at sea or like and have no water to drink, you're happily drinking it when you're lost on a boat. I mean, that's usually when they say talk about drinking salt water, most people know not to do it, but if you're starving and dying of dehydration and you have no other water, sometimes it might seem like it's good.
Yeah, actually, the meaning what you said is exactly that's salty waters increases that because we drink water for to like release our thirsty, right? And then, but once you drink the salty water, it will never release that because there's therefore we want to drink more and more and more water. So that's mainly saying here our dissatisfactions with this the five sense object or dissatisfaction with the material things, right? So therefore, as a desire is the limitless continue. Um, you want every time you want more, more and more, right? So So even very rich people, if we give them like a 1,000, they will not say no, right? They might accept it. So um, so therefore, this is the how, right? Even like this is too gross level to give example like money things. Otherwise, there are so many things that. Um, we always want more and more and more, right? Mm, so you take it, we can take it as like the example of the having relationship with others, right? And once you enjoying with the relationship with others, you never wants to separate even 1 minute. Isn't that? That is the attachment. That is a desire, right? So it's punishing for both sides. So you don't want to separate it even a minute, right? This is happening. The giving example, one Buddha's time, one of the Buddha's, I think, cousins, uh, he have very strong, um, um the both side, his wife and he has a strong desire each other. So and then put a trick to him to come out to begging, and then he have to go outside to offering something to Buddha. What his wife does is puts what called slop, what kind?
Spit,
We have a water inside. What called?
saliva.
Saliva. Put saliva in the face and then come back before it dries. So that's the that much attached to each other. So even minute, even second, we don't want to separate. Every minute, every second wants to stay together, right? That's the attachment, desire, dissatisfactions. So, and then once it's damaged, it's huge damage then because at the way beginning you can be good morning. Way beginning you can be separate sometime. Let them do whatever you want. Or you do by yourself whatever you have to do and do that. Let them do whatever they want to do it. So if like a take little bit gap at the way beginning, that would be the better. Otherwise, at the beginning part, like every minute wants to together. That once get damaged, then huge damage. It's a big suffering happening. So at the beginning, a little bit separate. You begin with a separate, like a not too close and not too far. that is very helpful and benefit to having long-lasting relationship without any like a cause of suffering, cause to your suffering. So therefore, this is the one example that's how dissatisfactions. Every minute once together is dissatisfactions. It's part of the desire. So that causes you huge suffering, right? So that's the saying. And then this is one example, and we have so many examples there. Anything you have the dissatisfactions, it causes you always turn into the suffering, right? I don't know everything, but most of things, yeah, is turn into the suffering in the final. So therefore, it's good to take limited at the very beginning, right? So therefore, instead of salty water, drink the exactly water, which can help you to overcome suffering of the thirsty, right? So that's the saying here. Okay, the more you thirst increases. And then similar here, material things are like itchy fungal rashes, right? The more you scratch it, the itch, the itchier it becomes. So that's a very good example, right? Beautiful example. So once we have what called I think falls or springtime, we having an allergy, right? And then eyes are itching. So more you push you that much, you want more and more, And we know eyes turning into the red color and it's too much painful, but still we want it.
Yeah.
So that's we're doing it. This is because you can be patient with the little bit itchy, right? And then it cause us more damage, eyes and other things. So again, this is example same. Give it for like a dissatisfaction, or like the being more patient with once you have a small suffering, right? So that's definitely we have to. It's good to do it actually. To you can accept it some kind of suffering, or because this is the better way to finding the peace life. To accepting suffering is the better way to finding peace life, right? Because in Shantideva text, I think you might say, or many other Kadamba masters said, having suffering is blessing, right? So, what does really mean then? We have to think. Having suffering is actually is blessing. Um, uh, and then meeting with your enemy is developing your good qualities, right? So sorry.
No, if we were talking about suffering being a blessing, I mean, it makes sense to me just because like, then when you do have a few good things, like they're all that much better and, you don't want to attach to them, but the more, if you've experienced suffering, otherwise, when good stuff comes around, you don't even know how good it is. You've experienced the opposite end.
Yeah.
I was in the military, I was in the army, so once you've had all that other stuff or taken away and you don't have it, then you're like, it's really nice to be able to eat a meal like or sit down on the couch and watch a television program, when you have nothing.
Yeah, that's got you. That's true. So, give you a few reasoning why say suffering is blessing. You have experience that you accepted, right? And then also it says it reduce your ego, pride. Having suffering is. If you think it's good, then it's benefiting. You are having benefit from having suffering. And then also it says it's increase your empathy. And then will you bring the compassion? Because once you're suffering, you feel it exactly what is suffering mean. And then when you see others, then you exactly feel it. You will have more empathy because you do had experience of that suffering, right? And then you will have a similar empathy for others. Um, that's also benefit. And then uh, as you said, they're having sufferings, and then you will realize what really actually exactly the happy means, right? Uh-huh.
Before, after you talk about something that in meeting your enemy, it can be a blessing, right?
Yeah.
I guess I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes with some people or just in general have really hurt you
Mm-hmm.
in a deep way, then you can, it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you try to understand their viewpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understand where they're coming from, maybe it's the hurt that caused them to do that, but sometimes it's really hard to get there, you know, if it, I guess what I'm saying is, how do you get there? How do you get to that point where it no longer hurts?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So yeah, here I try to say the meeting your friend enemy is kind of a blessing because it could be help you to have good qualities. But I'm not saying anytime in every angles, right? So the having benefit with the meeting with people, they are enemies, because once you meet with your enemy, then it might criticize to you, right? It might blame to you, and then look at that criticizing and blaming is true or not, because it's exactly telling you what is your manners and behaviors, right? So instead of your friends, we are close friends, will be careful with us, right? Do not cause us have anger and so on, so on. Therefore, always say nice things, right? So instead of telling everything what your quality is, so they will say nice things because don't cause you the angry because it's have friends, right? But our enemy or people who dislike to us, people who don't like to us, they will tell everything, whether it's true or not. But our part is we have to rethink what they said it instead of having emotion and a moment.
That's what they're saying. Leave it.
What they blame to you.
Or suffering yourself, rather
Mhm.
than look at, oh, there's truth to that.
Yeah, yes, yeah. It could be, yeah, it could be. There are so many things. Could be the truth. They might say, "Oh, you are so much selfish person." It's we don't want to hear that, right? So, but they might say you are selfish. Then think, really, am I or not? Or how am I selfish? And then it will think, and then you will find it out. You are or not. If you are, that's help you to tell you who you are, right? That way we are learn a lot from the enemy. So enemy could be um, your clear mirror, which you can see everything, right? So or like good and bad and everything, right? So they will not too much mention about good things, but whatever they say bad things, so we have to reflect it on it. and then if it is true, it's good things to accept it. So that's then we can change. Then we can begin to change. So that's what usually I say always, and I very much think it is the fundamental, the part of changing ourselves is recognizing your own faults and accepting it. It's the fundamental of the faults. People who are always seeking the complimentary and praise, and they are very much dislike to hear that the blame and criticize. That person cannot develop compassion forever, right? So because the developing compassion is, or generating compassion is, to deal with the many suffering things, deal with the many problem things, right? So people always he wants to hear the pleasure. They don't have enough brave to dealing with the problem. So then how they can generate compassion to other? It's impossible, right? So therefore, even like becoming the kindest human being, or even slightly changing our daily life, or big changing, whatever, the fundamental is, that's I see, is the accepting and recognizing your own fault is the fundamental. Once you begin it, then it's begin to change. Until then, no matter what you practice, I don't think it will help you change it, right? So like I said, without accepting any fault of yourself, or you are generating compassion, it's kind of like a mind game, right? While you're generating compassion, you're thinking all sentient being imaginationally, or you are giving so many things in mentally, whatever they like it, and then so on, so on. That's practice we do. At that moment, it's nothing to do with who you are. It's nothing to do with what is your qualities, right? At the moment you're doing it, but actual, it's not. You are not doing properly. Because generating compassion is, which Buddhist, regarding to Buddhist, the point, generating compassion to other is recognizing your own suffering is the fundamental. Otherwise, you cannot generate compassion to others. You cannot be kind to others, right? So be nice and be kind is two different things for me. Is right. Be nice could be the gentle, right? But be kind, it comes from motivation. It's not just external actions. Be nice could be the just external actions. No matter what your motivation is not dependent, right? So be kind. It's more very much depend on your intention and motivations, inner strength, inner quality. So therefore, being kind to other is definitely, you should recognize your own fault and suffering and so on, so on, right? Those are the fundamental. So once you recognize it, then you can deal with the suffering, no problem. Once you deal with the suffering, once you can deal with the suffering, when you can be having patience with the slight suffering, then I think it's good for having more the longest the peaceful. So, and then it change everything. It's change you your characteristic, or it's change your relationship with others, and it's change everything in your daily life, which is changing better way to having more peaceful life, right? So, and but that's this part, if you're not attentionally, if you do not think intently or attentionally, then your daily routine will be go same way what you're having in daily life, right? But once you understand, you reflected it, you're analyzing on it, and then you intently think it again and again, and then you should have a pay attention every time when you're in a, even you are in a, just by yourself, or you are in a society, or you are in a community, or you are in a friend with a friend. All this time you need to pay attention needed. So once you have attention, then it's also help you to realize what's happening, and that way to change it, right? So we know right now, or we learn now, and after that, never examining it, then whatever you learn, it could be the what called superstitious, right? So examining will confirm you it's not superstitious or superstitious, and then I need the attentions will bring you continues to do it. That's how we change it, right? It's necessary to have reflection after you learn, and applying on practice. And applying on practice means mindfulness on it, right? So you need a mindful, okay, am I doing it right, or am I doing wrong? Am I following the instruction? What I knows, what I accepted. So that's kind of mindfulness we needed. Then it's help us change it, right? The point here saying, if you are understanding or knowing that you are willing to deal with the suffering, that's a lot of safe, right? So instead of you always avoiding from suffering, that's I think not really smart to do that, because one time, two time you can avoid it. So entire your life you cannot avoid it from any suffering. So you have to face it on it. You have to face on it. This is the where we are, and then it's good to learn it, to face on it, face to like a facing on it, right? Yeah. So and then the simple ichi, you can be patient with the simple ichi that save your big damage in your eyes and so on, right? So this is the I was saying, be patient and satisfactions. Two is very important, right? So yeah, again, we should understand the benefit of having suffering, and same time, once we have a suffering, and instead of feeling it, only experience it, we should more analyze on it, think on it. So, and then you will have benefit. Otherwise, it says it's suffering is blessing, and suffering is blessing, benefit. If you do not think, or you just feel like a bad experience, or just having strong emotion at the moment, then same. This is our daily routine life, right? There's nothing to change it any at all. So that's so far we are. Once we have a suffering, we just immediately turn into this huge, like a strong emotion, and staying with it, stuck with it long time, and then slowly, it takes maybe a month or a week or days to overcome by it, and then finally long breath. That's it, right? So otherwise, once you it's the same moment. Once you have a suffering, there are so many things to you can dealing it. One thing's thinking benefit of sufferings. Another thing's thinking the suffering is which for example, like this suffering of death, right? So we all know the death's coming, right? And as we all knows, but we are always what call yeah, not accepting it, right? Was that denying or not accepting it?
It's not gonna happen yet. Like,
Yeah, that's the always things. Yeah, even 80, 90 years, it's not happening yet. So, right? So that part, it's happening, whatever, what you think or not think, or what you accept or not say, accept, it's happening it. Therefore, better accept it, better learn from it. Same way, any other sufferings are, it will happening in our daily life, like a death. Um, but good to accept and learn from it instead of, just too much having emotion. Does it make sense? And then it says material things are like transcend value, deluded about their benefit, or you are robbed by the enemy. What is it in Tibetan here? Oh yeah. So it's a you are robbed by the enemies. So they were saying if we have a lot of the richest people have a suffering or poor people have a suffering, everyone has a suffering, right? So, but the different type of suffering. The poor people have suffering because they're more worry and fear about not finding the food or not place to stay, not finding the place to stay. That's their worry, right? The richest people are worrying and having more fear to losing their money, what they have. They spend too much time to protecting on it. They are making the big gap between community and people and society because all this fear, right? So and then their house has a 3, 4, 5 gates, right? It's a fear. We clearly see that as suffering, right? Is 4, 5 gate is nice, and then it's difficult to get through by it. It's very valuable, but at the same time we see it's part of suffering. How much they're worrying it, how much they're scaring and fear on it. So therefore, everyone has a worry and fear and suffering, but as we said, different type of suffering. But who has more feelings experience suffering? That's depend actually. Sometimes could be the rich people have more fear and worry and suffering, in like a compared to the who like sleep on the street, the homeless people, right? So homeless people might have a less worry. Once they get food, then they are enjoying it. They sleep everywhere. So because they give up everything, which they don't have it, then they give up everything to get this and that fancy things, right? So with the giving up is makes you relax, and that much they might have a more happy and peace life, right? So
I slept in my car. I was homeless for like a little bit less than a year, and like, but I gotta tell you, like, once you have the rest though, like getting the rest, like just getting the little things, and you realize you can be pretty happy. I mean, like, or at least not completely suffering. I mean, you're okay. As long as you're surviving, you got it, and then there's still plenty of, you can read books in the library, like, you don't need as much as I thought I did before I became homeless. Like,
yeah.
it's definitely true.
Yeah. So therefore, our hope is kind of like we survive with the hope, but the hope cause a lot of like dissatisfaction. Same way brings a lot of suffering, right? So once you're hopeless, then you will give up. Once you give up, then that much you have a less job, less responsibility, and then less worry, right? So, huh?
There's also the difference between being homeless and being a traveler or nomadic,
Hmm.
because it's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who is traveling 100% and doesn't have a home, quote unquote, who's working full time and is like a nomad,
Hmm.
looks at that lifestyle differently than the person without a home who's suffering from maybe illness or like a mental illness or something like that. And that's because why they're traveling without a home. So it's like, you can look at it two different ways, like it'll go back to perspective, like he's saying, where how much suffering are you at that point? Because you can look at that as I'm homeless, or you can look at that as I'm a nomad
I'm free.
and I'm on a spiritual path
I'm free.
and I'm free. Because a lot of yogis go into caves and
Right.
they don't have anything, and that's
Mhm.
not a home.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and they're in there and they're doing spiritual path, you know what I mean?
As long as you're eating and feeding yourself, it's not so bad.
Right, so it depends on like the path, what you're looking at too.
Yeah, last time I mentioned when we lost everything, but still you hold all the strength that brings you happy, right? You not lose that, which is your body, your thoughts, your five senses are, your inner thought, your qualities. Those are not really loose, right? Once you lose the material things, that's okay. Once you lose material things, it means you actually you lose nothing regarding your what call your essence of life as happiness, right? But everything's there, you can bring back happiness to yourself, right? So so far we talked that material things are not reliable to finding your essence of life. Then losing it, not too much disappointed, right? So you can, and then same time, you do have a stand to get it back. So, or even not get it back, but still you have all these qualities which can make yourself as happy as and peaceful, right? So, yeah. So look at the way back, the first, the beginning human parts in this earth. No, they don't have these things, right? So, and then they enjoy it, they're happy and where they are, you know. So therefore, it's sometimes we can think, what are necessary in our surviving life? What is the necessary surviving life, right? So, and then you might see the house are not, weather is not, foods are not, friends are not, power is not, and then like also not necessary huge supporting, right? So without those things, you can be happy, you can be happy, enjoy. And then special Buddhist practitioner is big different. If I can share here, let's see how Buddhist practitioners say it, right? The Buddhist practitioner are saying you should be separate from worldly person if you are a good practitioner. If you more associate with the worldly person, you will not become a good practitioner. Therefore, say you are stay away from that human society and things, and then you should become as like the street dog, street dog, right?
Straight
Yeah,
up.
yeah. You should become like a street dog, then you will become as like a valuable and holy person. So that's the shows us how much you need to give up to becoming like a better person and holy person. That shows actually. Um, but here I'm not just telling you. It means not that I'm encouraging you to do that. So it's just one example is there, right? And then it's one Kadamba master says, your thoughts and behavior are separate from holy person, then you are good. Your thoughts and behavior too much associating with the worldly persons, it's not Dharma. It says it's not Dharma. Your thought is separate from worldly person, then it's Dharma, right? So what this really means, Dharma means which the path can eliminate or reduce the cause of suffering, which is the part of the mental affliction, negative emotions are. Those Dharma means for us exactly like this, especially Sattva Dharma. Sattva Dharma means which path can eliminate the cause of suffering, which is anger and jealousy and so on, so on. Inner negative emotions are the suffering, cause of suffering. So exactly eliminate those things. And if you associate with a holy person, every single things is increasing it, our negative emotion. There are no antidote. We will never found any antidote which we can reduce and eliminate the negative emotion from associating worldly persons, or from what called their rule and regulations, or their like accompanying with them, their daily activities, whatever. We cannot learn or we will not found the antidote for reducing your negative emotion from that.
And even if it's not, even if you can't spend all your time with monks, I mean, I wish I could, but it's finding other friends that practice Dharma and are practicing renunciation like you are, and are trying to focus. I mean, I hang out with Wesley a lot, like because we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're trying to accomplish the same thing versus, some of the people that I mean, I wasn't hanging out with them anyway, but people they probably wouldn't even understand half the things that I'm doing, and they might, and I know that if I had like hung out with them too much, there's a danger that they could convince me to go back to doing some of the things
Yes,
that I was
true.
doing, because they can think, well, it's harmless, like if you're not feeling attached to it, then I guess that means you can go do it, right?
Mhm.
I could just see it in my mind, like what might happen, so.
Yeah. So yeah, the monks are actually one thing I will let you know, you shouldn't expect it as that much high level as monk. Let's say, for example, I became a monk when I was so young, which do not know anything, right? It's just there and in with one group wearing this red colors robe. So and then slowly learn after that, then make sense. Until then, so many things we have to give up forcefully, not enthusiastically, because our vows, we cannot do that, cannot do that. So we want it, but we cannot do that. It's kind of more forcefully. Therefore, we see many disrobe monk, right? So and then but who learn after that? So then it's turning into the more enthusiastic. It was good. I'm rejoicing now what I have it, right? So that's kind of different things, right? So every monks is not necessary. They have renounce sessions, or they renounce. Renunciation means happily, enthusiastically detach on it. But falsely detaching is not saying the renunciation. But which part is good things there? Even the falsely, they try to control, which is good things, right? But it's not really called renunciation. Anyhow, so this part, yes, actually, we're saying that that separating your thoughts are different than worldly is not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily that completely wrong, right? So your thought different from the worldly, it could be some unique, which is a lot of benefiting there, right? So therefore it says associating with the worldly is never found the antidote for reduce the cause of suffering. So therefore you should have a different thoughts. Therefore your thoughts not associating with the worldly, then it dharma, as I said, right? So therefore, it's every unique things, every like a different behaviors, different thoughts are not necessarily wrong. Sometimes it's better, right? So therefore, we always try to, feel loneliness that we have one of the fear or suffering that many people have, that feel loneliness. The feel loneliness, they feel, oh, my thoughts are different than others, my behaviors are different than others, my attitude as well, not matching with them. It could be wrong because you have too much anger, because you are too much jealousy. But it could be not wrong because you are now try to reduce attachment or try to reduce anger. So no, both could be the possible once you feel loneliness, or you really have to think. Here, good things I'm saying is that if you do Dharma practice, your idea will be the totally different than worldly, right? So the worldly persons, and then the most of the person in this world, your idea will be the different from it, right? And then that part is not necessarily wrong, right? So if you reflect it, then if you found the more benefit, then you can have continuous that unique thoughts and unique behaviors, which is not associated with others, right? Yeah. Sometime as I believe the future life, as I believe that we should prefer for future life anything we do this life, right? So sometimes people take advantages from us, or sometimes we're not happening exactly what we wish it, and immediately go back to think, am I lose that essence of life, which can I have a better for next life? Not losing anything. I do not lose anything, right? So once I see that, whatever I lose, I'm relaxed, because my mind is focusing on future life to better do doing this life, and then future life doing within this life is what called not necessarily should accomplish everything what people have it, not necessarily accomplish everything what people say it, right? So instead of there, I'm going more what Dharma said it. And then a lot of things is totally separate than what is, right? So once you go that way, then your minds become more unique and unique and unique, right? So wholly cherished to yourself, ourselves, but you will become more cherished to others. The wholly respect to holy being, that you will become a more cherished to human being, or like a sentient being instead of holy being, right? So that, as well as ideas, directions goes different. That might be brings you all these different the thoughts and attitude, right? Again, the point I'm saying here is having unique is not necessary that you are separate and different and you are doing wrong, right? So therefore, sometimes we don't have to feel loneliness. Okay. And all of these are rooted in the self. The self chases after the curves of desire. Desire, in turn, craves material things. So as for this wealth of the material possessions, know that in the long terms they deceive and have no meaning. Okay, so I don't have to explain on that, you know that, right? So, but here, rooted in the self, rooted in the self, we can take so far, rooted in the self, that root is self-cherishing. You know, self-cherishing brings you everything that what I wanted, right? And then all the thought and everything associating with what I wanted. That therefore cherishing other is what they wanted, right? And it behavior ethos. Once you become a thing when what they wanted, a lot of happiness there. So instead of what I wanted. So many times you will fail that. So therefore, regarding the Buddhism, the self-centeredness is 100% negative and rooted of all the suffering, right? But regarding worldly, it's not necessary. Self-cherishing brings a lot of benefit also. But if you do self-cherishing limitlessly, or if you always do only the self-cherishing, then that's cause you suffering, even the worldly person, not associated with any religious, it's secular way. If you only cherishing yourself always, every moment, then you will have suffering more, right? Therefore, learn sometime cherish to other. I'm not saying being nice to other, being kind to other, right? Okay, so let's take some question if you have it, or any suggestion, discussion, welcome. Yes, Tom?
Um, Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. When you were talking earlier on the phrase, material things are like itchy fungal rashes, that phrase,
Uh-huh.
as I understand it, and I'm trying to see if I understand it correctly. If I have an enemy and that enemy says something that irritates me or makes me angry, if I look at the enemy instead of being an enemy, I look at him as an ally because he's making me aware of something inside of me that I need to figure out, and why does that bother me? So I find the fault that the enemy is pointing out within myself. That's why I think we need other people, and it's like looking in a mirror, you can see the fault. If you can then, from what I understand you're saying, you can then reflect or take whatever action you need to take mindfully to correct that fault. Your enemy has truly become your ally. And if I follow it, if I follow what you're saying, then now I can have compassion because the fault may also be in my enemy. That's why he sees it in me. And now I can have compassion for someone who used to be an enemy. He's now become an ally because he's made me aware of my fault. And
Mhm.
I can have compassion for him because I can see the same fault within him and be more accepting. I
Yeah,
think
yes.
that if I followed you, that would be the advice. I think you're saying that if our minds can move mindfully that fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. So enemy or difficulty people. Sometimes people might don't have their enemy, but the difficulty people always there. No matter who you are, always you will see the difficulty people. So therefore we can learn a lot from, as you said it, yeah.
I wanted to just share something about, you were talking about loneliness.
Uh-huh.
And, loneliness is so rampant in this country, and the studies will show that people who are lonely are more likely to die sooner
Mm-hmm.
than people who are not lonely. But, I read a beautiful saying by a Dharma master, I forget the name, but he was giving a blessing, and he says, "May you enjoy solitude without ever feeling lonely." It's such a
Mm,
beautiful saying because it's a mindset changing from loneliness to enjoying solitude.
mm-hmm.
I thought it was a very beautiful saying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So we choose different solitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's true. So we choose sometime to be in solitude, right? In our life. And then whether you are a practitioner or not, most of us choose to like give me a break means you are choosing the solitude place, right? So that's you see is health and benefit, and yeah, that's true. So this place is more quiet. Now we like more here. So instead of New York, it's too cloudy. You know, early time too much going New York. Now if we go New York, coming back, try not sleep overnight over there. Or start is that's the kind of things. Is here myself and Gishing our Kelsang, he's staying in his room, reading book or doing sadhana, whatever. I'm in my room. So we just meet when we have a lunch time, breakfast time, dinner time. Otherwise, most of the time we're not reading. Most of the time, sometime 24 hours, 2 days, I'm just in my room. I realized that. So that much busy in one room by just self. Right. So that it's I can how you spend your time, and it's very much depend on what's your aim and what's your goal, right? So then if you have a good goal, then just by alone is accomplished better by your goal, right? So if your goal become a more famous, then you shouldn't be staying in a room. You should go more outside, right? You should come on more on like social medias and so on and so on. Therefore, it's very much depend on your goal, and then you can be busy with just by yourself. uh, it could be bad or could be good, sometimes bad, internet, movie, and then so other distraction things, right? That busy, I'm not sure how much is meaningful, but sometimes it's good for resting, right? So a lot of using that is meaningless and wasting your time. Beside that, still you can so many things do by just yourself in a room without any other surrounding you. Very much possible. Right. This is my experience in my life now. It's just sharing you. Okay.
That's the best place to actually read. I mean, when there's other people around, you get interrupted constantly, or I mean, meditation, everything, I mean, everything, it seems like even if there's someone and you tell them that you're meditating or you're going to read and do this, like somehow there's something, even though if you're good at concentrating, the noises come through and they're trying to be quiet and you drop something. And it's like,
Yeah,
so being by yourself is better for that.
that's true. That's true. So, any other question? Who's in online? Okay. Okay. So that's good then. So you have any question? Okay. So then we're going to stop here. What is next coming? Oh yeah, cultivate faith. Now it's starting the 7 noble riches. I should start recording.